Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Hot Seat Interview. I, of course, am your host, Leo Brady, film critic with AMovieGuy.com, and I am incredibly excited today to be with a guest who has award-winning films, has made nothing but just wonderful pictures, and we're here to talk about her really personal film, a beautiful film, a film that really touched my heart, Jimpa. This is the director and writer, Sophie Hyde. Hi, Sophie. Thanks for being with us here today.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for having me and for saying such nice things.
This is so great. So, we start this series with the same first question every time. And sometimes it's hard for people to come up with an answer. But the question is, what's the movie for you that you saw that made you say, oh, I want to be a director? I want to make movies?
So many different films are like flashing through my head.
Yeah.
Uh, do you know what? I think, oh gosh, I think that the film Heathers was like the first time I was like, I love this. I mean, there were a lot of films back in the like 80s, 90s that I watched over and over again, like really teen dramas like Weird Science and Mannequin, like stuff
Yeah.
like that. But Heathers was like, oh, this is something else. Like I loved it,
Yeah.
and it's like honestly, it's probably things like Stand By Me, Dead Poet Society as well, like a bit more earnest. But Heathers for sure was like, I remember thinking, oh my God, the music is so cool in this film.
Yeah.
And I think when you start thinking about music, you're thinking about making, you know?
Yeah, I think like when you start to notice things in movies, a movie like Heather's costumes and like just style, like you said, music, those are the things that start to come out and it makes you say like, "Oh, that I can do that." That's a really good pick.
Yeah, that's like they've got a take, like they're going somewhere. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I've recently been talking to friends about the language of cinema and how like every individual starts to find their own language and their own sort of way that they make movies. Well, and sort of that can lead me into my next question too. So you're from Adelaide, Australia. But you've made all these films that really feel like very almost international. They feel like you're working with people from all corners of life, people of all different, creeds, colors, you name it. Why is that sort of the type of storytelling you always wanted to make? Is that sort of just ingrained in you?
Mm, that's a great question, you know. No one's ever asked me anything like this. Um, yeah, I think that I felt like when I started making films, I wasn't seeing the people on screen that were the people in my life,
Yeah.
weirdly. And I felt like I really wanted to see more of them. I didn't want to see the same faces over and over or the same kinds of person. And so looking for that led me somewhere. And my first drama film, 52 Tuesdays, was set in Australia, in Adelaide, where I'm from. But from then on, I felt like I was moving in a world that was kind of in different countries and with different friends everywhere. And it felt really natural to be looking for stories that were elsewhere. And there's kind of like shared language across different things, but it felt like a really comfortable thing. So then I shot in Dublin, then in Norwich, and then in Amsterdam. I'm in Amsterdam right now, actually,
Yeah, yeah.
to show the film again. And like I feel just like so I just feel really lucky going into all these places and being able to meet a whole lot of people in the crew and the cast and get to know them and make something there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and two, I mean, like for 52 Tuesdays, you won a Sundance Award. I mean, like and then with Good Luck Leo Grande, you clearly have worked with like different budgets, different types of actors, things like that.
Mm.
Is each film really a learning process for you? Do you sort of take the baton and sort of run with it and say, okay, this is a different project from the last one, and how am I going to piece this puzzle together?
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
For me, like each project should feel different and should be made differently. And it's the kind of the needs of the project and certainly the needs of the people that I'm working with are the thing that lead to the way it should be made, I think. And
Yeah.
I love that about it. I don't want to go into something saying this is the way a film should be made,
Yeah.
but like how do we make this film well? How do we use the people around us and then their strengths and their weaknesses, you know, to create something? I love, like, for instance, working with new actors, and I feel like there's this beautiful kind of way that you can craft something together that feels really fresh. But equally, like, I feel so lucky to when I work with people like Emma Thompson on Good Luck to You,
Yeah.
or Olivia Coleman on Jimpa, like to work with people that are just like their craft is so honed, they're so skilled, and and that's like a whole other thing for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, am I learning each time? 100%. Like I love that part. I love going, what is this one gonna be? Okay. You know. And of course you bring new things, like you do, like each film, I think, you're bringing things from the last one.
Yeah.
But I hope that I'm always looking for a new way of making.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like, and even Good Luck to You, Leo Grand was like a bit of I mean, it felt like a little bit of a, not that, okay, I'm gonna choose my words wisely here. Emma Thompson did not need to make like a comeback per se, but like her performance in this is kind of like something that people hadn't seen her do before. I mean, but so
Hmm.
working with an actor like that and getting them to sort of maybe step outside their comfort zone or work in a different narrative that they may have never been in, what was that process like for you? I mean, like, do you have to give Emma Thompson notes, or is she just like, okay, I got this, let's just point and shoot?
I'll say you 100% have to give Emma Thompson notes, and that's what she wants.
Yeah.
Like the great thing about working with Emma is she came into that project. I don't know if she needed to make a comeback, but for herself, she wanted to work in a certain way. And she had felt like she'd been working in a way where people weren't directing her. We're just kind of like, it's Dame Emma Thompson, you
Right.
know.
Right.
And she felt a little bit like she was in that process of like having to stand somewhere and be told sort of what to do more than be directed.
Yeah.
And so she kind of like she she challenged me to that. She was like, I want this. That makes it a lot easier, to come into a room and be like, somebody like this is trusting me and also they want it. Just meant that we could walk into a space together and be ready. And so I was doing what a director does best, which is not being the boss or being like just telling people what to do, but guiding and being an outside eye and making sure that what we wanted to make together we were making.
Yeah.
So it was heaven. That project and working with Emma was just like a dream.
Yeah.
If I could go once a year and just be in a room with two actors and make a movie, I'd be like, let's do it,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Less overhead on a project like that, right?
Exactly.
All right, let's dig into Jimpa. This is obviously such a beautiful film. I mean, it's a personal film for you. Tell me, like, tell me the process of putting it together. I mean, you have your own child in the film, and there obviously the entire thing is just vulnerable. So, like, was there any second guessing in the process of writing it, putting it together, and saying to yourself, like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
All the time I would think, and I still do go like, what the hell am I doing? Um, no, I think for me, like all the films that I've made, and every time I'm working, part of it is to be really vulnerable. And so I do step into a project going like, how do I open myself up to this and crack something open for me and for the people I'm working with and for the audience.
yeah,
This was a particularly explicit version of that, let's just say. And I don't mean sexually explicit, I mean it's so demonstrably like it seems like us on the screen.
yeah,
There's a filmmaker
yeah.
and she takes her trans teenage child to Amsterdam to visit their gay grandfather Jim, and Jim is the name of my dad. And you know, and there are things like that. At the same time, there's this fictionalization that happens. So
Yeah.
um, my gut instinct, I really wanted. My dad died a few years ago, and he was a very eccentric, very provocative, interesting man,
Yeah.
very much an activist in the kind of queer culture. And when he died, my child Aud, who's now 20 but was only 12 at the time,
Wow.
I just, I was watching them just come into blossom into this queer identity and be really public about it
Yeah.
and speak really eloquently. And I was like, man, I just wish they could talk about this. I just wish that they could be in a room and do that. And so that impulse was where Jimpa came from. And then it kind of grew into this other thing where it was like lots of different characters and people based on real people, people that are completely made up, and a storyline that is largely fictional.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm telling a story about parenting and I'm thinking about my dad and I'm thinking about my own child. And so I am really vulnerable in it.
Yeah.
And what I found is like in all the films I've made, if I bring myself into the room and I say, this is where I'm soft and gooey and an animal,
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone else goes, okay, me too.
Yeah.
And so we had all this beautiful thing where so many people kind of brought that version of themselves into the project
Right.
um, and opened themselves up to something. And all we were really trying to do was be very sincere and feel certain things and allow an audience, I hope, to feel certain things.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, and like what I picked up on a lot was like, this the story is very much about like identity and who a person is, and it's these multi-generational things. But for me, what I was like really connecting with and adapting with was that identity is not concrete. Is that just like these are three generations of people, each one of them is still finding themselves no matter what age that they're at. Is that sort of, a big message that you wanted people to find in this film?
It's certainly a big thing that I feel. Like when we talk about my child being a trans non-binary person,
Yeah.
it's the non-binary part of it that I'm most interested in fact, is like this idea of binary culture, of binary positions, the fact that we're always like presenting like we're in opposition to something or we're so truly one thing.
Yeah.
I've never felt like that, and I don't feel like the world is as much like that as we think. And
Right.
so for me, that is part of the exploration for sure. And I hope for everyone. I think we're really, it sounds simple, but it's like we're sick of being put into like boxes and we do it to ourselves too. We say, this is
Right.
who I am, and therefore it's really hard to change and shift.
Yeah.
But if we know anything, like change is it. That's what's going to happen to us. Change and change and change, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where we really wanted to be. And we wanted to watch characters that were allowing that or trying to navigate that. And certainly trying is the primary word here. Like I was really interested in watching characters try really hard to be good to themselves and each other.
Yeah.
And that's like it's an unusual thing to watch.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like there's just this really beautiful sort of thing where it's like, John Lithgow's character Jimpa is going through changes no matter what. His character has different views of the way life was when he was an activist, or same thing, with Aud's character. Obviously, I mean, for them it's very much a coming of age. I mean, and as we've said, I mean, this is your own child, Aud Mason-Hyde, like director or acting debut, excuse me. Tell me the process of having them in your film and sort of again, speaking of like fears and being worried, was there any like were you worried about having them on your movie? Did you say to yourself like maybe I shouldn't have them in this movie. I should maybe choose somebody else?
I didn't want to push them into it, that's for sure, or look back and think I've kind of directed them into something that they didn't want.
Yeah.
So I was really conscious writing it that there was always the option that Aud might play the role or not,
Yeah.
and that we would see when we got to make it. Aud kind of became quite a big part of the writing. So as we were writing it, they were getting older and they came into that process and talked to us a lot about the character, and that was important.
Yeah.
And then we hit a point where it was like, wow, we really need an Australian non-binary actor who's a teenager who can hold this and who can operate opposite Olivia and John and can work with me and sort of, and Aud is a like does a lot of public speaking and is a very kind of accomplished human.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we went, yeah, we think they can do this. And then we had to say, do you want to do it? And like,
Right,
and
right,
be ready for them to say no, but
right.
they didn't. And there's certainly, I think it's been a really gorgeous thing for us to make together.
Yeah.
There's certainly been moments where I'm like, wow, this is a lot to put on your child. It's because to be a character is already a big thing. To be a character sort of based on you with your mum directing,
Yeah.
you know, it's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
But we loved working together, Aud and I. Like, we do it really naturally and comfortably, and like they're the person that I turn to about creative things. And as they get older, they just get more and more like that.
Yeah.
So that was heavenly. And I felt really comfortable knowing that they would also say to me, no way, in a way that maybe another young actor would want to please me more.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's instantly a authenticity there. There's instantly a sort of, you can tell that they are comfortable like with the camera, with the performances. Like I think like from the moment Olivia Coleman, Aud, they're getting on the airplane. I was like, oh, this is a family. This is a this is a family going to Amsterdam. I am immediately picking that up. So if authenticity was what you were going for, you got it with Aud, and they do such a good job here. So
Oh, beautiful. Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay, so you have two, incredible actors working with you, John Lithgow, Olivia Coleman, but this is obviously a story about, non-binary a non-binary person. This is about sort of developing and becoming, your true self through life. Having the two of them come on, obviously they bring great acting sort of qualities behind them, but what was sort of your relationship like getting them on the project and then from beginning to end when the project was done? I mean, did you create this genuine family here?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think we sort of overuse it now, don't we, saying family, but it is what it feels like. You can't
Yeah,
help it.
yeah,
Um, Olivia, as soon as she got the script, she read it and we had a call straight away and she came on really fast. And it was like the whole project kind of, you know, just gets on a train and goes at that point.
yeah,
And and she was so ready for the kind of story that it was. So, she's such a great ally. Like she wants to be in stories. She's interested in queer stories. She cares about telling stories that aren't kind of things that we're always seeing, that sort of stuff. So
yeah,
and she came to Australia and she'd never been that far away from home before on her own, and she was quite
yeah,
nervous. And she
yeah.
came over and she really, it was Dan Henschel who plays her partner in the film, and Aud and I and Olivia, we spent a good amount of time in a rehearsal room, and we also went and like hugged koalas and stuff like that.
Love
And
it.
and drank a lot of wine actually. And we had such a beautiful time like doing that. And so that forming a family, that came from that was also replicated in our crew. We had a really good team in both countries, in all three countries actually, who became a big part of what we were making.
Yeah,
And then John came in when we were in Amsterdam and came in, and the first thing he did was film. There's like a dance sequence in it,
yeah,
and so the
yeah.
first thing he did I mean, he came into the rehearsal room like the consummate theater professional that he is. He just walks in like, let's go. And he's on the
Yeah.
floor and he's doing stuff and he's incredible. Like, and to have the two of them come in like that and lead what is actually quite a large ensemble of really, really great actors,
Yeah.
it just, it just, it makes your job so easy, like everyone's ready to do it with them. And then, yeah, first day on set for John, and he just does this dance sort of in front of the camera, and everyone sort of applauded, and people were a bit teary, and we were all just like, "This is amazing. How do we get to do this?" Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, Jimpa, it's such a personal film for everybody involved. There had to be tears, being shed while making this film, but not so now that it's, getting out into theaters, what are the emotions that sort of come up for you? Is it sort of a feeling of like, this is a really personal, piece of my work, and I'm really just glad to share it with everybody, or is it still a little bit of like, oh boy, I hope people like it. I hope people, accept it and talk about it, or what are the emotions you're feeling?
There's always that feeling of like, I hope people like it.
Yeah.
We've had a big journey with the film and we've shown it a bunch of different places in different countries. And I've shown it at home, for instance, which
Yeah.
was really scary. Because showing people is even more terrifying than people you don't.
Yeah, yeah.
But actually, like I have hit the point with the film where I just want to hand it over. I
Yeah.
love my experience with the festivals and touring around is that I have these beautiful conversations afterwards with people and talk about their lives and the feelings that come up for them and the joy as well in it. And I just, I'm like, go, baby, let's go,
Yeah. Yeah.
like everyone's going to have their own response to it. And I think there is an invitation in our film to disagree with each other. And
Yeah.
I think I've had to go, oh, yeah, that's true of this film in general. Like, some people are just not going to like it, and some people love it. And
Right.
you kind of, all of those responses feel okay to me now. Do you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
huge thing because as a filmmaker, you're like, everyone love everything and every bit of me.
Yeah. Well, for a movie that is so honest and open and genuine, you want the responses to be honest and open and genuine. And I think like that's really what you elicit from this film. I'm a father. I think this movie is just so beautiful, and I think it shows the complexity of humanity. And I think we need to see so many movies like this. You get great performances from everybody. I just want to say congratulations. So.
Thank you.
Sophie Hyde, thank you so much. Jimpa is playing in select theaters February 6th. We hope so many people will go and see it. Thank you again, Sophie Hyde. We can't wait to talk to you next time.
Thank you so much, Leo.
Thank you.